Jin Sakai was right and Lord Shimura was wrong. I mean, majority of gamers believe that, so I guess it's right. Or is it? Rest by the bonfire, stranger. I'm Playnerd and you're watching Playnerd's perspective. Was the path of Ghost Jin chose the only way, or there was something Jin totally missed which could lead to different or more so happy ending for the Ghost of Tsushima? By the end of this video, I think we are going to have a satisfactory answer to it. Now, considering a common gamer's perspective, if only Lord Shimura was not so stubborn and blinded with honor, and maybe if he tried to understand Jin's compulsion and his sense of practicality, we could have had a more happy ending for the story. But I do not think it is that simple. We see Lord Shimura as a character who is brimming with his sense of honor, which was kind of influenced by Shogun's law, and I think he's quite proud of it. And even those who do not like Lord Shimura would agree that he was honorable. But what if I say Lord Shimura was not that honorable as we thought? You see, there was a scene where Jin killed Ryuzo after poisoning half the Mongols, and when Shimura confronted Jin, at that instance Lord Shimura tried saving Jin from Shogun's law by telling him to convict Yuna for all his crimes and walk away free as his son. At that moment, we can see that even Lord Shimura was ready to bend his honor to protect his nephew. At one hand, Jin bent his honor for the people of Tsushima he loved, and on the other hand, Lord Shimura was willing to bend his honor for that only nephew he loved as his son. I mean, they are not so different, just different priorities and different breaking points for their honor. Now, many of you could argue that Shimura had more obsession for his honor than his love for Jin. And that is why we can see in the end he was willing to sacrifice Jin by carrying out Shogun's order. And that makes Shimura's love for Jin questionable. But if you ask me why Shimura was willing to kill Jin by the end, I would say that decision was influenced by many factors. It was a conflict between his honor, duty, and his love for Jin, in which he prioritized his sense of duty. As I said earlier, it is all a matter of priority. Also, from the eyes of Shimura, we can see even though Jin's path of Ghost had saved Japan from external danger, but it could give rise to internal societal instability for feudal Japan. The path of Ghost could influence rebels and cause instability, which could lead to internal conflict, which is why Shogun's law existed in the first place. So I think it is clear enough to say Lord Shimura was not totally wrong. He had some strong reason to oppose Jin apart from the pressure from Shogun. But this does not mean the efforts of Jin Sakai and his path of Ghost can be declared wrong and impulsive. There was a Reddit thread I read in which someone said that if we judge Jin Sakai by today's standard, he basically violated Geneva Convention and he can be termed as a war criminal. Now in today's time, there is an international treaty like Geneva Convention, but during the events of Ghost of Tsushima, there were no international ground rules of war. And samurais were following their own homemade code of honor, which did not apply on Mongols, and thus they were very self-restricting. Also, we cannot ignore the fact that Mongols were playing dirty and they had no restrictions like samurai's code of honor or any other rules of war. Also, this was an unusual event for Japan, and Shogun should have realized that people of the land are more important than any of their culture and law. If Jin had not saved people of Tsushima, there will be no one at the first place for Shogun to impose their law upon. Shogun could have made exception for Jin Sakai since he was not rebelling against a samurai. He was fighting dirty only against external threat, which land of Tsushima had never faced before. And if we see through the eyes of Jin Sakai, he prioritized the survival of his people even if it led to his own exile, rather than dying for the honor code, which was only useful for internal conflict but was heavily restricting for external threats like Mongol invasion. In history, there have been many times when a soldier was pardoned by government for their crime because of the greater good they did for their country. Some of the examples are Paul von Ledo in World War I and Nathan Hale, an American revolutionary, and many more you can find on internet. From my perspective, neither Jin nor Lord Shimura was wrong in their ways. The endings we get was kind of inevitable provided the circumstances, but only if Shogun was a bit flexible we could have avoided this emotional conflict between the uncle and nephew. That is all from PlayNet's perspective. Feel free to share your views on the topic. I like hearing views which make me question my own thought. If you like having discussion on video games, then it is going to be a worthy channel to subscribe. Till we meet again, stranger, may the flames guide thee.